All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live. Coming at you on a Monday. New week of Betting Weekly Live right here. Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. Mike Carver with you, along with Doug Kezirian as we get ready. Huge night. We've got a game 7. Everyone loves a game 7 in the ALCS between Toronto and Seattle. We have not one but two Monday night football games, a traditional doubleheader too, 7 East and 10 East for us. We've got some pucks. We've got the NBA starting tomorrow night. We've got a crazy weekend of NFL and college football. Doug, great to see you as always, my man. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you too, right? Like October is just such a huge sports month, and with the playoffs and then NBA starting tomorrow, it really is a ridiculous sort of stretch of awesome sports. And like you mentioned, we get the NFL doubleheader tonight.
We certainly do. As we like to do on Monday, Doug, why don't we kick things off, of course, with the opening line? Some takeaways from the weekend. Just give me something. I mean, it was crazy. The college games were nuts all day on Saturday. NFL, you had some unbelievable comebacks like the Broncos at home against the Giants and a few others. Give me a little opening takeaway for the week.
Anytime there's a sports headline, I try to find the domino effect with the betting world. And we've seen these ridiculous comebacks, right? With the Broncos. I mean, I heard there were some 40 to ones out there. So it just makes you wonder, should we be grabbing a little piece, like dip the toe in just when you start to see the winds changing, right? Like the witching hour is the witching hour for a reason with the fourth quarter in the NFL. And I just wonder if the way they do these and the algorithms, things like that, they use past performance and time remaining and everything in order to do the live lines. Well, the game's changing a lot, right? Kickoffs are changing, right? Guys get the ball in like the 30, 35-yard line, and you need one first down, and then you're in field goal range. So it's things have changed where the pass, these refs get carried away. We saw the pass interference in Denver. I mean, Jacksonville couldn't do anything, and all of a sudden starts moving the ball up the field. I just wonder if there's a lot of betting opportunities here with the huge long shot payouts because you only need to hit one in a while for it to make sense.
Yeah, like you said, you just gotta grab one every now and then, and it pays for most of them and then some. For me, Doug, it's this: I am completely finished with these dopey European, London, wherever games. I'm done with it. Like the games are awful. I never seem to get the game right. It's just every time I think I know something about the game, it just never works out. I'm done, Doug. I'm telling you right now. I'm cold turkey early morning NFL across the pond. I'm finished with it, Doug, after the Jaguars completely didn't show up against the Rams yesterday. I'm finished.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of a boring. They're usually just sluggish, stupid games, but sometimes, like I happen to be awake this time. Sometimes I have to set my alarm. So I actually got up and I bet the Rams, and I like the Rams, and so I was on them. But yeah, they're really unpredictable. There was some sharp money on the Jags because the Rams got there like Saturday, I swear. And the Jags had been there a while. It's just really sort of a crapshoot. You just don't know how players are going to respond in this sort of unique territory. But it's not like we know how teams are going to respond on stateside either.
No, that is very true. You have no idea what's ever going to happen in most of these games. All right, let's get to tonight. Of course, we finish off week number 7 in the NFL with a doubleheader here. First game, 7 o'clock East. The Buccaneers off to a great 5-1 start into Detroit against the Lions. Right now at Bet Rivers, Lions this has gone to 6 now, Doug. -6. We saw the 5s, 5.5s last week, and a healthy total of 53 and a half. The chat box already checking in. Hi, guys from the UK. We got the UK involved too, Doug. I love it.
Nothing personal with them, just the football,
No,
just the
no, no,
football.
no, no.
Yeah, nothing,
I'm
nothing
upset
against
we're
them.
sending them bad football, Doug. That's what I'm upset about. That's what bothers me.
Well, it's just so tough with Lawrence. Like he's not good enough to cut or bench, but sorry, he's not bad enough to bench, but he's not good enough to be like a cornerstone for the franchise. And I'm telling you, at some point, there's going to be a reckoning where teams are going to stop paying these quarterbacks who aren't established these ridiculous rates. I mean, look at Tua, look at all these other guys. Gino, like, why are they paying him this much money? But conversation for another day. I like the favorite in the over here. Look, the Bucs are fantastic, and they've been so good all year. At just some point, that the injuries are going to mount, and Detroit does feel like a team that can run up the score and cover this kind of number against the Bucs. They want some revenge because last year they beat them during the regular season. But B, they're just so much better at home, right? The offense is clicking. They lost Ben Johnson, but I think they're fine. They're willing to run the ball, and I think they can just really exploit all these Bucs injuries. I don't love it. I certainly preferred it at 5.5, but I agree with the line move, and I agree with the over going up a little bit too. I feel like we can get some points here, but I do wonder if the Bucs can. That offense might stall. These big totals, you need some big plays. I mean, look, the Commanders Cowboys game flew over the total, but the second half was 28 was the total. They scored 3 touchdowns, including a pick six in the third, and then just got a field goal in the fourth. So if there's a one-sided game, these games can die. Falcons Niners died. Second half went under 23 as well. Rams was only 20 and a half. It landed 21 in the second half. So a lot of times you think you're going to get a lot of points, but if you're down 14, you go for it on fourth down. You don't kick like the Jaguars did 3 times. And the points just aren't there. And when it's a big number, you're really just fighting uphill the rest of the way because you have to play catch up. And it's not like it's a low total of 44 where you can still get there even when there's an empty drive.
Yeah, I'm with you, Doug, for this one tonight. I like the Lions here. I probably would have preferred the 5.5 as well, but even at 6, I can get there. Bucks have been super impressive. I just feel like you said all these injuries have to eventually catch up. And nobody likes to say they're due for this, they're due for that. But one of these weeks, they're going to give you a clunker. Baker's been so good. And this is the type of spot, right? Prime time on the road. Lions coming off a loss. Lions lost at home to the Bucs last year. There's just a lot of things that are kind of getting meshed together for me, Doug, where I'm like, this could be a game where the Lions take it out a little bit on the Bucs here tonight.
It's just the problem is the Bucks offense is so potent, right?
Right.
Even when they're banged up. So I just worry that there's the reason I'm not running to the window to fire, but I don't want any part of the ugly dog here. I just really think it's a dead dog.
Any props for you tonight? Of course, I will keep rolling with the touchdowns after we did get a couple home yesterday. Kayshawn Booty, we got home. Tyler Warren, we got home. So we did good again with the touchdowns on Sunday. I like Sam Laporta tonight. Bucks have not been that great against the tight end. Plus 185 at Bet Rivers for Sam. Any props for you, Doug?
Not really. By the way, I do want to pay homage to what just Fred just said in the chat. He goes, "We keep saying Tampa Bay can't keep it up." Dot dot dot.
Yeah,
That's a fair point, and I'm guilty of that. I had Seattle against them on that Sunday game where, I mean, Seattle played pretty well, but the Bucks just kept responding. So you're right. They might lay an egg, and then that person who's martingaling and everything will be right, but there'll be a lot of L's to get there, and I'm worried that I'm going to be in that column of all those L's.
I did just see one come across the chat box there, and I did not get to see who put it up there. Lions team total over 29.5 tonight. Lions team total. There.
Feels like right. Feels right. Wouldn't bet under. I like the play. I don't love it.
There you go for this evening. If public lopsided on Detroit, taking Tampa Bay plus the points. Just Fred there. Gibbs over 3.5
Is the public
receptions.
lopsided? Do we know that?
I don't think lopsided would be the word that I would use for this one, right? I think I saw earlier, Doug, 65%, 60 between
Okay.
65 and 70, right around there, right in those.
And I thought it'd
numbers.
be a like a trendy dog, maybe.
They are getting Evans back tonight, right? I mean, I know Ibuka's is going to be game time, but they are getting Evans back here this evening. So Lions and the Bucks, game number 1 of the doubleheader. Bet Rivers also has, how about this? Monster Mayfield, one of their specials. Baker Mayfield to throw for 100 plus yards in each half versus the Lions. This is boosted from even money up to plus 120. I like this, Doug. If as we kind of are thinking, maybe the Bucks are down and they're throwing a bit. Now that, of course, he's got to get the Hundy in the first half too, but I could see him getting the Hundy in the second half if they're going to be trailing.
I can see them. I can see this hitting. I'm always a little gun shy on some of this stuff, but I can see that hitting. 100's not a lot to ask. Obviously, the key is which half they get the kickoff, right? That's an extra
Right.
possession. And man, these long plays. Like I had Franklin for the Broncos over his receiving yards, 32 and a half, and he didn't get there, but he had 10 targets. But he drew some flags. It's like that stuff doesn't count towards the receiving yards. One Mayfield prop I always look to, and I look at Monday night too because I feel like there's an extra sort of umph with the quarterbacks trying to make plays, things like that, kind of like the playoff angle. But rushing yards over 19 and a half. I mean, I feel like he's willing to tuck it and run. He certainly did that the last time they played on Monday against the Texans in that final drive. I think it was 4th and 11. He converted on his own with his legs.
Yep.
That's always something where I think Mayfield's willing to make it happen. We saw that epic play he did against the Niners on Sunday. I think it was 3rd and 12 or something like that, and that led to the bomb touchdown pass. But I love Mayfield. He's a gamer. And just a reminder, college sack yardage counts against rushing, but not in the pros.
Nope.
So it would just be his rushing yards that would be need to go over 19 and a half.
The second game, just after 10 o'clock East, will be up in Seattle, the Texans and the Seahawks. Seahawks -3 at Bet Rivers right now. 41 flat is the total. Texans Seahawks. So the traditional straight doubleheader tonight, Doug.
Yeah, Seahawks are my favorite play of the weekend. That and then the Browns eventually got there as my other favorite play. I got talked into it Friday evening into the weekend. So that was my only big play for I had like a 3-unit play, but this one's a 5-unit. I thought this line would go to 3.5. I just love Seattle. I think this Texans offense stinks, and the defense is good, but D'Amico Ryans is not great. So going back to that Monday night game where they faced Tampa Bay had no offensive linemen. They're like 3 guys out or something, and they were just throwing like 5-yard curls and 5-yard button hooks. And D'Amico Ryans couldn't adjust until like mid third. So it was like so obvious. And I just think the Seahawks are really tough. Now, the interesting thing is we know about this 12th man Seahawks sort of label. I think they're 2-8 in their last 10 home games. Really strange. They lost to the Bucs, as I mentioned a couple Sundays ago. They've been road warriors. They're 3-0 on the road this year, 1-2 at home. But I do think ultimately they're better at home. So I don't think much of this Houston team at all. Look, they were 0-3 to start the year. Then they get wins against the Ravens, that was a really mass unit. Not just Lamar out, but all those guys on defense were out. I think it was like the six highest paid players on the roster were all out for that game. And then the next week, a couple guys came back to face the Rams, and they still lost. So Texans did that, and I think the other game was what the Jets or someone or the Panthers. So
Yeah.
I'm not ready to anoint the Texans are back or anything. I think the Seahawks manhandle them.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going too. I do like the Seahawks as well. I like the under in the game too at 41 because the Texans offense stinks, as you mentioned. And on the road, I'm throwing out the Raven game, Doug, because we know the problems the Ravens have had the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks, missing guys on D, not having Lamar. So sure, they ran it up on the Ravens with 44. But those other 2 road games, only 9 points in LA against the Rams and only 10 points in Jacksonville against the Jags. So not great in those other spots on the road. Very tough spot in Seattle, despite what that record is over the last 10 games. I'm going to go with you here. I think it's Seahawks, and I think it's an under. I think it's Seahawks 23-10, Seahawks 27-10, somewhere in that area, and we could keep this thing under 41.
Well, the key is also the 2 Seahawks injuries in the backfield, right? You got Weatherspoon the corner, and then Love the safety. They did practice Friday, limited role, listed as questionable officially. I mean, if they both came back, that would be fantastic. But just one of them would be a boost. I still just don't believe in this Houston offense. C.J. Stroud, solid first year and a half, and then so this year he's got a new play caller, right? And I think that's sort of part of the regression. So. Um, look, if they go into Seattle and cover as a 3-point dog and 12th man, then fine. But Darnold's been effective enough. JSN's been fantastic, leads the league with 694 receiving yards. And the running attacks there, I think they're very well coached. I think the defense is solid. I just don't believe in this Houston team. So I think it's a short number. I would have made this number like 5.5. So I was way off here.
Let's get it then. Let's roll with the Hawks tonight. Player props, 1 tutty for me. You said Jackson Smith and Jigba's been unbelievable. I will take him plus 125. And I actually think I think you're getting a little bit of value there. I feel like he should be almost at this point, Doug, with how good he's been, closer to minus money territory. I think plus 125 still a great number for him, considering how much volume and usage he gets from Darnold.
Interesting. Okay, so you like the under, but you also like Seattle. So what are you thinking? 24-10 kind of thing?
Yes. I think
Okay.
yeah, it's like 27-10,
So
24-10 right in that area.
3 touchdowns, and you like
Yeah.
one of them to be
One of
JSN at
them,
plus 125.
JSN.
Okay.
Let's go. It is Kenneth Walker III's 25th birthday today, as I just saw there in the chat. But here's my problem. It feels like it's like really just a straight split, and he might even be on the wrong side of it now with Charbonnet, which I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to me, Doug, but it seems like that's how the Seahawks have been running things the past couple of weeks.
I think they're very opponent specific, right? Like
Mm.
they've had to change their game plan. Even against the Bucs, they had to ratchet it up second half, start throwing deep. They had to rally basically the entire game. They dominated the Jags. Really, that was a defensive kind of win for them. So second half, they took their foot off the gas. I can see them being up like 17-3, 17-6, and them just playing like field position or something like that. McDonald, he screwed up in the first game. He had a 3-point lead, was it? And went for it. Didn't go for the first down. It was like 4th and 1 around the 20, and then they kicked a field goal, and then the Niners drove the field and won it. So that was a mistake by the Seahawks. I think McDonald's gotten more aggressive, and I think he's learning through that. So we'll see. I could see this kind of playing out. I'm really curious to see how this game looks to start.
There you go. So Seahawks and Texans, the late game. You've got the Lions and the Bucs in the early game tonight, Week 7, Monday Night Football. Futures update off the weekend. And let's talk about the MVP a little bit. Patrick Mahomes has now, of course, man, what a smash job by them against the Raiders. As Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs now, they're back. Nothing's wrong with them. They're good to go. Mahomes is now your favorite for the MVP. But there's an interesting name down the board that I want you to talk about, Doug, because I actually think when I saw you bring this up, I was like, man, he's having the kind of year. If there's ever a non-quarterback, Doug, give me one who might actually have a chance to win it.
So the last non-quarterback was Adrian Peterson, and that was when he broke the what a rushing mark and things like that. I think it was 2012. But this year's been really weird, right? There's kind of parodies the name of the game. That's sort of been the takeaway the first month and a half. And the Colts are for real. I thought that going into the weekend. I just think they're just a solid outfit. It's like all these like grandfather cliche terms. Like they're solid. It's a really solid clubhouse and all that. The offensive line, defensive line, things like that. I just I just don't think Daniel Jones is going to get the respect that's needed to win the MVP. He's been playing great. We saw Brock Purdy in a similar situation a couple years ago, but I think there was more upside to Purdy because there was more unknown. I think Jones has a lot of baggage, and voters don't like regretting. They don't want buyer's remorse, so they're just going to be stubborn. I think on Daniel Jones, just how he's looked. Now, there's a lot of football to go. I'm just projecting that if things play out. So I think Jonathan Taylor's the guy. I mean, he's known as like the biggest weapon on this Colts team. I mean, look, he's 3 touchdowns in 3 different games. Just the 4th player to ever do that in a team's first 7 games to do it 3 times. He's been a hoss, and the offensive line's great. Jones has been good. Don't get me wrong, but 66-1, I think is worth the flyer. They could be the 1 seed. Give the Chiefs still have that division to deal with. Denver's in first place. Chargers are obviously good. So the Chiefs have a harder path than the team in the AFC South. And the Colts are healthy. I mean, that's the reason the Chargers got boat raced. They had all these linemen out. They'd have no Slater, no Alt. I mean, the offensive line and defensive line, like that's the key that most bettors don't really fully appreciate and extract wagers from. But the injuries in the trenches are what's key, and that's what the Colts calling card has been. So they've been having a lot of close games. Obviously, we know how they won the Denver game with the leverage penalty, but I think Taylor at 66-1. He's just so darn solid. Now, a lot of football is left, but I mean, you compare his odds to some of these like random quarterbacks that have no shot. I think it's kind of like what I was talking about with Pavia last week, right? I was saying Pavia 55-1 range. Now he's 11-1, right? Like
Mm.
you just can get ahead of this stuff. So I think it's a really good value play.
Are we becoming a believer yet in them as a team? Because they are the
Yeah.
sixth choice on the board at Bet Rivers here on a Monday at 13-1. Sixth team on the board to win the Super Bowl now with their start.
So as bettors, we always try to fall back on our own experiences, right? So what team do they remind us of recent years? Is it that Tennessee Titans team that was the 1 seed with Ryan Tannehill, where they got exposed, but they really should have won that first playoff game? I think they're better than that. And the key is their defense. I think they're pretty good. The question is, do they just sort of run out of room or real estate when they have to go against these elite quarterbacks, whether it's Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. But I would not bet them 13-1 to win it all. But I do think they're going to end up with the 1 seed. I think they're legit. I think they're going to manhandle the rest of their division. And I think they've proven, as long as they can stay healthy, that they are going to be a tough out. Like their lone loss was against the Rams. And that was the game that A.D. Mitchell dropped the ball on the goal line in the third quarter and then had the holding call to bring back Taylor's touchdown near the end of the game. So they've certainly been capable of being undefeated. I don't know where they stand for power ratings, but
Mm-hmm.
they are legit. So I wouldn't lay minus 1,300 on them not winning it all, but I think they're a legit team. This is not a mirage or a phony or farce team.
And just to bring a couple things in the chat box there here on Betting Weekly Live, I did see someone's got a Vrabel ticket for Coach of the Year, which I believe he
Love it.
had there was for preseason. And then, yes, Just Fred, you mentioned the quarterbacks. Obviously, it's always quarterbacks, but 66-1 is very hard to resist. There it is. Vrabel Coach of the Year ticket. Will the Patriots have to make the playoffs for Vrabel to get it? Well, I would think that, but
100%.
I think they are going to make the playoffs, Doug, because of how well they've played in the schedule that they have coming up.
I mean, he's among the favorites, right? So Steichen's the favorite. Vrabel, Shanahan next in line. Johnson's getting a little buzz just because the Bears have won 4 straight, but I don't know how good they are. I think a lot depends on how some of these other guys look. But I mean, long shots right now, McDonald,
Yeah,
Bowles, right? With
Bowles.
this Tampa team. Um, Mike Tomlin, I don't believe has ever won it, so he's a long shot, but I just don't think he's going to be able to do it with the narratives. I think Vrabel is certainly like him and Steichen clearly leaders in the clubhouse right now.
Yeah, it's tough. It always seems, Doug, that award goes to generally the guy who takes the team that no one expected. You're almost looking at preseason win totals. Who had the most wins over their preseason win total? And Steichen and Vrabel are going to be two guys that are going to really be falling into that as we continue to move throughout the season. Bet Rivers has, of course, the football squares. You got to get involved. Players who place a qualifying same game parlay of at least $10 on eligible NFL or NCAA football games will receive one standard entry into the weekly squares game. Winning standard squares will be awarded a prize of a $20 bonus bet. See the app and the website for more details. Bet Rivers Football Squares. All right. We have the 2 best words in sports tonight, Doug. Game 7, ALCS in Toronto, Mariners and the Jays. It's been a fun series. You will, of course, get Shane Bieber tonight. He will go for the Jays. And then on the Seattle side, it will be George Kirby right now at Bet Rivers as they throw the lines back up there for me very quickly. Minus 141 for Toronto, plus a $1.14 for Seattle, and a 7.5 total.
So we talked about Bieber the last time he pitched. I won my best bet that night on his outs recorded because he's a reverse split guy, and he's been fantastic against that. So that the lineup is really conducive for him. So options to wager on Bieber is just outs recorded. 13.5 is plus money on the over. I mean, that's not a lot. That's 4 and change innings, right? The strikeout count might be better as well. He's 4.5. So those are all really tempting. Is he on short rest? I guess that's my concern that he would be on a short hook, but I think if he's going to
No.
be in a groove, he's going to be in a groove. So I think strikeouts over is the play. I mean, he struck out the side, I believe, last outing in one of those innings. So I think that's the play in terms of the side of the game. Like, man, I just don't know. I mean, look, it's game 7, it's baseball. I think you have to have a death wish to bet this game. Unless you really like the angle, I guess I would play, whatever's getting plus money. Um, I just have no idea who's going to win. I said before the playoffs, Mariners, Dodgers. So I'll stick with that, but I wouldn't bet it. I think it's going to be really tough, and I think Bieber's the right guy going for Toronto.
We have had 8+ runs in the last 5 games of this series. We had an under in game
Mm.
1, the 3-1 game. We have had at least 8 runs in every game since. So, of course, Doug, that's why we have that 7.5. sitting right there staring at us tonight. This is a game 7. Are we expecting the tight game 7? Everyone's grabbing the bat a little tighter. You know that everyone's going to be available out of the bullpen, whether Bieber, Kirby, etc. can get going here. That everyone's going to be there, all hands on deck. Are we going over again? Over the 8, over the 7.5?
I can't pull the trigger because I think managers are going to have the quickest hook known to mankind. They're going to be nibbling. They can't expect the bats to deliver like some of these are. I mean, we know the Mariners had a bunch of double play balls yesterday, but the Blue Jays got the runs. Vladdy's been obviously on fire. I just don't think. I think things are going to be tight. I think umps are going to be a little loose on the in the black on the edges of the home plate. I think we're going to see a pitcher's duel, and it's going to be a rock fight. But I don't
I
want to
will.
bet it either.
Yeah, I don't really want to get involved too much myself. Now this morning, I was looking at Vlad. Vlad's been so hot for the total bases over 1.5. But man, it's been I mean, minus 124 now for over 1.5 total bases. That's just a little too far down the line for me now, Doug. I liked it this morning. It was a little bit cheaper this morning. 124 is just too much. And the one guy I'd look for on Seattle side is Josh Naylor. I think Naylor's a big game player. And he's getting a good number with him, plus 140 for over 1.5 total bases. That's really the only two guys that I would want to look for tonight, Doug, if I was going to get involved prop wise and stay away from the total on the side.
So it's not just an automatic play for Vladdy.
I mean, for 1.5 total bases, I usually like,
That's what I meant.
I like to see, at minimum even money for those. Like, it's 1.5 total bases ain't easy. I mean, you're obviously one extra base hit and you're in there, but you need 2 hits otherwise in a game that we're thinking could be a little bit tighter played, but he's been so hot.
He's seeing the ball real well these
So
days.
hot that maybe you just can't, maybe Doug, you just can't get scared by what they've pushed this year to in the minus 120 area. You just know that if Toronto's going to win tonight, Vlad's going to have a piece of it. He's going to be involved in the action.
Or they're like anybody but Vlad. Let's pitch around him.
Right. Like, and look, that's another thing. And his homer number that's cratered too. I mean, it's down in down about 300. I even saw it 290 this morning. It was up to 325 now. So he's been smoking hot. I'm with you. This is very tough. I do think that Toronto finds a way, Doug, but I can't bet it. I do think Toronto does find a way.
Home field advantage is a legit advantage with strategy, right? Later innings, you have an advantage here. Bieber's splits should be really favorable. I do like George Kirby, though. I think we're going to see a low scoring game. I cannot bet. I really cannot. It's just so. I mean, it's baseball, man. It's really hard. You have to have you have to have a really clear in your eyes an advantage. I just don't have one here for Game 7.
Yeah, it's very tough. And then they will play Game 1 of the World Series Friday night. Doug, is when they will play Game 1 of the World Series. The winner of tonight's game will play the Dodgers. There he is, right there. Also, don't forget, immediately after Jays and Mariners game number 7 tonight, head over to the Toronto Sports Rush channel on the Bet Rivers Network. You get full post-game coverage with Dan O'Toole, Kyle Andrew, and Bobby V. Bobby Valentine is with Dan and Kyle as well. That is tonight after the game. Toronto Sports Rush channel, Bet Rivers Network. Make sure you are there. They've been doing a tremendous job. I actually tuned in for a little bit last night after the game as I saw it pop up on the feed. So I checked in with Kyle, Dan, and Bobby B for a little bit. All right, Doug. We also have this evening, we've got some pucks as well. Just a few games in hockey on a Monday night, including the New York Rangers, who at home have not scored a goal yet this year. They are 0-3 at home, and they have not scored a goal, and they are back home tonight, minus 152 against the Minnesota Wild, who are on a little bit of an East Coast trip here with a few stops. You also have Seattle and Philadelphia tonight. Buffalo is in Montreal, and Winnipeg is in Calgary. And the best game of the night, Carolina in Vegas against the Knights, with the Knights minus 120. Carolina, of course, out to a 5-0 start so far this year. They went through California with no problem, and now they get to stop in Vegas. Little Vegas flu for Carolina tonight, Doug, maybe?
I think that only really worked the first season. You got the nice virtual pick 'em in this game. I always want to, I love trends, like sports trends, and then try to see if there's a betting angle. Like, what do you make of the Rangers being unable to score at home? Is that bettable, or is that just way too small of a sample size?
I I I think it's just weird. I think it's way too small yet to go there, but I like the under in this game. I'm just going I think they're going to score tonight, okay? I don't think they're going to get shut out for a fourth game in a row, but I am going to keep it under cuz Minnesota's been playing some unders. The Rangers at home, every game has been under. Seems like it's been tighter games when they've been at home. But I don't think it's something where we're looking at team totals yet, unders. Yeah, I'm not going to go there, Doug. I think if tonight they get blanked again, and I think we got to go, we'll go after them at the Garden in the next game. But I think the Rangers win tonight, but I think the game stays under the 5.5.
But you're not ready to go team total just yet. I mean, look, so in strategy wise, home ice gets to choose their line second, right? Like there's an
Yes,
advantage there, right? So you would think, are they defensive minded with this? Is that sort of the angle? What's the rationale? You would think that if it is a thing, if
right.
this home scoring thing is a thing, what is it?
I, I think at this point, you look at some of the opponents that they've played. They played a couple of decent defensive teams with Washington. They didn't play one in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh's kind of the outlier for me. Pittsburgh stinks, and they weren't able to score against them at home. I think it's just a matter of they just haven't gotten it going yet at home. And I don't think I think that it's just a weird thing, Doug. I really do. I think it's just a strange kind of quotient that they haven't scored a goal yet. It's getting made a big thing here in New York. And I think that maybe Sullivan mixes some stuff up tonight. And all that can change it for you, Doug, too, is you get a couple whistles and a couple power plays. No, they
Oh,
haven't had a lot of power play opportunities at home either over these 3 games. So suddenly that flips over. You get a couple extra chances with the extra man. And then suddenly you get to pour a few in. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Rangers tonight, maybe busting out at home. And I like the price with Seattle as well on the road in Philly. Seattle's played well here to start things off. Even on the road, they've played a bunch of games on the road and they've played well. I think Philly stinks. I think that a lot of this is kind of the stuff you've been talking about. Some of these lines early in the year in these sports kind of get built into some things from last year.
yep.
Seattle was awful last year. The Flyers kind of were too, but I think Seattle's gotten off to a really nice start and getting them with a plus 112 tonight in Philadelphia. That's going to be on the card for me too, Doug.
Okay. I can get behind that. Yeah, I mean, there's times to just pounce on the stubbornness of the market, and if that's where it is, that's where it is.
And I don't know what I will play in this Carolina Vegas game tonight. Probably be something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm excited to watch it. It's going to be hard with the football and the game 7 and
Right.
all these other things, but I will be trying to peek in on this Hurricane Golden Knight game because you got two of those 5 or 6 teams that we talk about when we glance at the futures real fast every week that are in that pocket, and the Hurricanes haven't lost a game yet. That's going to be a fun one this evening. Lean to the Golden Knights, Doug. Small lean to the Golden Knights to end the
All
streak.
right, we trust in you
We trust
for
we
our hockey.
trusted me. And I trust in
Don't screw
you.
it up, Carver.
Rangers were all over the ice in Montreal. They were, Michael Corleone. Analytics tell you it's an anomaly. There's Monzo checking in, who's of course probably got some guy at plus 900 to score tonight for the Rangers on the fourth line. But there it is for him. We will see if it's an anomaly this evening and get it going. I trust in you, Doug, for the NBA, which we will have going tomorrow night here. And look at that, Corleone's right. We do the Seattle parlay tonight. Kraken and Seahawks thrown
Ooh,
together for a little fun.
Seahawks. Yeah.
Kraken and the
And
Seahawks.
Mariners. Let's throw the
And
Mariners.
oh, that's right, triple Seattle. Someone's got we are there, Doug. Little Happy Meal play on the Seattle triple tonight. Kraken, Seahawks, and Mariners to try to get things going. I trusted you for the NBA, which will start tomorrow night with a doubleheader. Rockets and the Thunder, Warriors and the Lakers. We, of course, will go through all of that tomorrow. And it's kind of our last chance before they tip things off, Doug, to talk about some futures for the NBA season as it's about to get going. Let me go to the big board first. I know you've got the win total, and I'm going to get to that. But I was looking at it this morning, and I know the Thunder are unbelievable, and they were awesome last year. It's the same team. Plus 200, Doug, on opening night. I mean, they're just going to smash everybody again. Done deal. Thunder. I guess we'll get the number now. Best number you're going to get, right?
Oh. I think that's a dumb play. Look, this
Me
Thunder
too.
team, they're young, right? And they did get last year, and last year's going to help them moving forward. But they were down 2-1 to Denver and trailing in the fourth quarter of game 4, and they were underdogs on the live money line. They were on the verge of going down 3-1. Now, I do think sort of figuring it out, J-Dub had a big game in the conference finals. I do think they figured it out and got over the hump, but they still went 7 games with the Pacers. I would never lay the plus 200 because the injury bug, right? Holmgren got hurt again. You never know if some of these other guys could get hurt. I don't think SGA is capable of getting hurt just the way he plays, kind of like Jokic, but no value at the plus 200. I think the NBA is much more balanced than it used to be. Before beginning of these seasons, it was like, remember the Warriors with Durant were like minus 110. We saw a team like there was really only 2 or 3 teams beginning of the season that could win it all. I think there's about 5 or 6 nowadays the last couple years in the NBA. So I would never bet the plus 200. That's silly talk.
It's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous to even have a team at plus 200 before they've even played a game. I don't care how good they are. It's crazy to me. Now I'm gonna throw you this one, and everybody can laugh. It's fine. I know it's ridiculous to even mention it. The Clippers are 20-1. Now look, here's why I think right now, just getting it, Doug, for this reason. If they play well, like they did last year, and I like the additions that they've put in. I like adding Lopez. I like adding Collins. Chris Paul's last year. You got a lot of things with the Clippers. They play as well as I think they're going to. This might be 10 by the All-Star break. They might be, maybe they're the 2 or the 3 seed, and it's 6 or 7 by the time they start. And I understand you got Oklahoma City in the West too, but I feel like 20 is a really big number for, if healthy, what could be a very good roster, Doug. That's all I'm saying.
So they could have the most regular season wins, and maybe not the Thunder, but I think they're loaded. And you're right. They got Lopez. They needed a backup center desperately. And the way they are going to have, they're going to be the oldest team in the league, but they're going to have the minutes allocated properly. I'm just not going to bet him for a variety of reasons. One, James Harden, I don't think can repeat what he did last year. I think he led the all shooting guards in minutes played last year or something ridiculous. He's born to choke in the playoffs. So that's why he can't be the best player. I think the league has a mess on its hands with the aspiration stuff going on, and Ballmer could lose the team for all we know. I definitely think they violated league rules and circumvented the salary cap. I think they're a hot mess, and I don't think the league wants them in the finals. If this was David Stern's NBA, they would find a way to get them out in the first round. But I know what you mean. There's a lot to like. They're well coached. I think the West is too competitive. One of our audience members said this, and if you're going to take a team in that price range, I would take the Orlando Magic
Mm.
because I think they're on the come. I think Ben Carroll could make the big leap this year, and going through the East is a lot easier. The East way wide open with all the injuries, right?
Yep.
With the Dame injury, the Halliburton injury, and the Tatum injury, I think it's more wide open than people realize. The West is going to be a gauntlet. So with James Harden leading the way, I know Kawhi's there, but with Harden involved, there's no way I want to back the Clippers at all. I've thrown too much good money after bad in that.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask you next is the East is so different than the West because you have all the big injuries in the East because of those things. Like you really, I mean, the Cavs at 7-1. Trust the Cavs. Nobody trusts the Cavs. I mean, the Knicks.
I do, but
You
yeah, I know what
trust
you
the
mean. At least
Cavs,
to have the 1 seed.
but I feel like you've got more of an opportunity in the East if you
Yes.
wanted to try to run with one of these teams before the season starts. It could be Orlando, as you just mentioned. Look, after them, it's Atlanta at 30 and Detroit at 30. And I mean, the Sixers, please, at 40. I don't care if Embiid plays 80 games, Doug. We can't play the Sixers at 40-1. They won't be there. But it seems like the East is where you have if you could figure it out, you could find maybe that team that can take you on a magic carpet ride in April and May.
Hawks are dangerous. Their upside of scoring is out of control. So
Yeah.
30-1 is certainly intriguing. Pistons have all the pieces, man. They really do.
Yeah.
And if Cunningham takes another step forward, he's like MVP type level, they could be really good. Remember, they were missing some guys in the postseason. Maybe they had a guy on their team who was betting on games, who knows, to miss Beasley. But in general, I mean, look, you're factoring in the odds at 30-1. I wouldn't
Right.
say they'd be my pick, but wide open. I mean, the Pacers made a run, right? They had an elite coach. That's the difference. Is the Pacers have had Carlisle, and I think he was a difference maker. But I mean, think about all those 20-point comebacks in the playoffs. Halliburton sort of came of age. What if this is going to be Cunningham's playoffs, right? Where he takes a giant step forward and really asserts himself among the league's elite.
Look, yeah. I mean, you had that year where Trey did it and got to the East Finals with Atlanta. You have those years where guys kind of make that move sometimes. It would be Detroit for me if I wanted to take one of those longer shots in the Eastern Conference and see if they can give you a little magic carpet right there. Give me the win total, Doug, before the season starts.
Well, as we all know, in the offseason, the sharps hammer the futures book, right? So day before the season starts, usually not the best time to bet a win total. So a lot of these numbers have been hammered into place. But we got news recently on LeBron James going to miss about a month of the regular season. And I'm surprised the Lakers win total only moved one win from 47.5 to 46.5. I mean, guys, this is not Akeem Olajuwon on the Toronto Raptors, okay? He's still a top 20, 25 player in the league. Yes, it's Luka's team and they're building around Luka, but Lakers still have to play in the West. No LeBron for a month. They still get everyone's best shot. Luka looks great and he's going to be great, but he still lacks defensively. The Lakers as a whole have issues and question marks. Like, are we sure about DeAndre Ayton? Austin Reeves is in a contract year. Is he going to try to do too much? 46.5 wins just feels too high. I know they won 50, I believe, last year, but those games can go either way. And they're missing LeBron for the first month. So I would have made this number 44.5 after the LeBron injury. So I'm quite surprised. So it's a little juicy at 46.5, but I think there's still line value here.
Yeah, look, him being out, he's going to miss a little bit more time than he usually misses some games. We understand that throughout the year, but
And that's a
starting,
good point. I think he's going to miss a lot this year. Usually
yeah,
he's been a reliable workhorse, but I think it's going to be a lot of babying LeBron this year. And I don't want to use the word babying wrong, but they're going to be very cautious with him.
and look, as much as they're trying to transition this, Doug, into Luca's team now, Luca don't stay healthy either. Luca gets hurt from time to time also, and he needs his time off too. So you don't have Luca and LeBron for, let's say, a couple games in the middle of December or January. That could be a 4 out of 5 you lose or something like that. If you don't have
The
those
West
guys
is
for long.
loaded. The
And it's
West is
yeah,
loaded.
loaded as well. I've seen also last thing on the NBA futures because I do love the future stuff. A lot of people, Doug, rising up for Wembenyama for MVP. Can he play
Hmm.
70 games? Can he play 70 games? I mean,
Well,
come
he
on.
had a blood clot issue, so that's kind of
Yes.
an outlier. To be fair, I would say that would be with Wemby. I'll believe anything.
Yeah.
Okay, but what's crazy is he was poised to win Defensive Player of the Year, and the Spurs didn't go to the playoffs. That's never happened in league history. I went and did a deep dive on this. Never has a team's defense, in terms of efficiency ranking, been anywhere outside like the top five. It's like three times it happened. And to be Defensive Player of the Year, and he would have probably won unanimously, and to not even be in the playoffs, that's never happened. So for Wemby to get MVP, and this team, usually it's a 1, 2, or 3 seed, right?
Right.
Unless it's the Westbrook year when the average a triple double. There's been a few outlier seasons. I don't think you can bet it at 12-1. I mean, he's worthy and he's that great, but the league's not ready to. And the guys, the thing is, it's like a two-part question, right? Or two-part sort of answer. One is the player has to be worthy of being the MVP from like a 5 seed or 6 seed, okay? And maybe he checks that box. But you also need the 1 and the 2 seeds to not have a worthy MVP. And that's the
Right.
key here, because usually these 1 or the 2 seeds will have a star, and it's just people are have it. And Wemby's still viewed as young, man. Like
Yeah.
I just think the old guard of the NBA voters are just going to give it to Jokic or give it to SGA. Now there could be some voter fatigue, as obviously each of them have that hardware. I just wonder if like Luca's stats will get it as the 5 or
Mm.
6 seed instead. But 12-1, you can't bet it. You just can't.
Nope, not at all. NBA starts tomorrow night. We'll have it for you tomorrow here, Betting Weekly Live, getting you ready for the two opening night games. If you like what you're watching, of course, as you should, make sure you check out our other shows as well. Betting Weekly Studios on the Bet Rivers Network, released earlier today. Betting Weekly Dojo, with Nigel Seeley and Neil Channing discussing the smartest way to bet the big soccer weeks. So check out Betting Weekly Dojo with Nigel and Neil. Get yourself set because there are some big soccer weeks that are on the way soon. That's for sure. It was a big weekend, tons of crazy results in soccer over the weekend with that. All right. Before we do the best bets, let's do a little college football quickly, Doug, because it was another crazy weekend. What a win for Vandy over LSU. You had the crazy Georgia Ole Miss game, Notre Dame at night, getting involved against USC. You should have seen me in front of my television, Doug, late Saturday night, watching Tennessee run like 50 plays from inside the 5-yard line, hanging that under by a thread that I somehow was able to pull it out. But it was another
I
BYU with
watched
the
it.
holy
I
war.
watched it at a wedding. I
Oh,
watched it at a wedding, Carter. We were in the back table, sweating out the goal line stand.
oh my goodness. What a weekend in college football. Lots of crazy results.
Yeah, it really was. And Alabama certainly flexed its muscles and they look the part. So does Ohio State, but the quality of competition hasn't been there. But they've also been trucking opponents. So I think that's something that was lost last year with Indiana, right? Everyone's like, oh, they've lost, they're pretenders. But like the games they were winning, they were destroying their opponents. And I think margin of defeat in college football matters. And they looked the part, at least for a playoff team. So this year they looked the part for a championship team. I'm not sold on Georgia. I think their defense stinks. The tackling's weak. Kirby's a very good coach. I just have my concerns there. Notre Dame, man, they're lurking. I wouldn't be sleeping on them at all. I think the right column you can give up on.
Yeah.
Maybe Oklahoma, if Mateer comes around, would be the only one. Don't see it with Missouri. I think they're close but no cigar kind of situation. I thought Texas Tech would be better than they've
Yeah.
shown in the last couple games, like first against Utah and then here against ASU. Ole Miss, I guess, but I just feel like their defense is so loose. So I think the champion's coming from the left side of the screen here.
Yeah, and the thing with Georgia for me right now, Doug, is you look at the 2 years that Kirby won the national championship. Their defense was never this bad, like giving up.
They were loaded.
They didn't play 42-35 games those years that they won
Right.
the national championship. They were winning those games 31-10. They were not giving up any points. So that's why it's very hard for me to reach out and grab Georgia, as juicy as it kind of looks on the surface at 10-1. Man, Georgia's playing well. They're 10-1. Yeah, but they can't stop anybody. So that makes a very big difference. Heisman. You talked about Pavia last week and a little bit at the top of the show. That number's moving, Doug. Moving like a rocket
On.
ship.
It's long gone.
It's moving, baby.
I tried to tell you people 50 to 1, 55 to 1 is now very low at 11 to 1. Okay, look at the top of the I don't see a way. I really don't for Mendoza and Sayin to get there. Now they could face each other in the Big Ten title game, and one of them is awesome, and maybe they get there. But I just don't think they're like sexy enough or looked at that way. I mean, Sayins looks like a beneficiary of a good offense. Simpson's in my eyes like the front runner, but Alabama could lose here and there. Pavia's got the reputation and understanding that he's doing more with less, so to speak. And I think that's what's going to be key and why I think he's in the mix. So 50 to 1, obviously last week was when you should have bought. I wouldn't buy it at 11 to 1 because they're going to lose. They're going to lose, right? Like they're going to lose maybe twice more, maybe once more. We'll see. Um, but he's such a I mean, it's the award goes to the most outstanding player in college football, and he kind of might be it if you factor in value as well, the most valuable, right? Like he's not the best, obviously. Um, so I just you can't bet at 11 to 1. You just can't. Simpsons looks legit, man. He's been excellent since the FSU game. I think Kalen DeBoer just deserves a lot of credit for just steadying the ship, and everyone's looking up his buyout after the first game, but he's definitely got the tide rolling, so to speak, pun intended. In general, I think we're gonna have a wide open playoffs. Remember, they tweaked the rules this year, so you're not gonna get the double bye like Penn State had with, facing cream puffs or cupcakes or whatever you want to call them. So I just don't think Georgia and Ole Miss can get there. We saw the defenses on display, but man, I'll tell you what, the Bulldogs can run all over teams. They're really powerful. We saw that against Tennessee too. So so much for the SEC defenses. I think those are things of the past.
No, those days are over. I mean, these games are now high scoring games all over the place. And Vandy does have another test this week at home, though. They'll play Missouri on Saturday afternoon. So Vandy, Missouri, coming up this week. Tomorrow, Doug, will start to get into a little bit more of the matchups for this week in college football. All right, before we get out of here, how about some best bets for tonight? We got 2 Monday Night Football games. We got a game 7 in the ALCS. We got some pucks, this, that, and the other. I will go tonight, Doug, with the Lions minus the 6 at home. Think it's finally time that the Bucs have a bit of a clunker. Think the Lions will be able to score some points tonight. Lots of injuries for Tampa. I'm going to lay the 6 there. And I have to give a hockey. I just got to give a hockey best bet before we get out the door. Under Rangers, Minnesota. I'm going to stand the ground there. Under Rangers, Minnesota. Rangers finally win at home, but the game stays under 5.5.
All right, I'm going to stick with the Seahawks. They've been my favorite NFL play all weekend. I'm a little concerned because I do know sharp people on the Texans. I know some on the Seahawks as well, but maybe this won't be as obvious as the Browns was yesterday. I didn't know anyone who was grabbing the points with the mammals. So I like the Browns. That was a rocking chair win. I don't think this will be, but I still have to trust the Seahawks team. I think the environment, everything. Maybe I'm worried about the crowd being too flat and being focused on the baseball game. That's a concern. Maybe that game can be quick and end in a couple hours, and we can get full attention on the Seahawks. But I'll lay the 3.
I guess nobody will be watching the Kraken tonight in Seattle with the Mariners and the Seahawks going. No Kraken action tonight for all of them. At least they'll see them win. Doug, let's have ourselves a big night. We will be back tomorrow here on Betting Weekly Live, where we will have the opening night of the NBA. As we mentioned, OKC, Houston, Lakers, Warriors. We've got some college football tomorrow night, too. That Western Kentucky team that we love so much is at La Tech. FIU is playing Kennesaw State. So we've got some Tuesday night college, lots of pucks as well. Doug, I will see you tomorrow. Great job by everyone, as always. Betting Weekly Live, Betting Weekly Studios, Bet Rivers Network. See you back here tomorrow.